Hello, friends. This is Sundareshan, and you have tuned in to my channel that helps you understand how to manage issues in your boardrooms for board members and senior management. Last video, we concluded our learnings and findings on knowledge. To sum up or to recap, if any board member has received the communication, it was information, and having read it was awareness, and the board member having conveyed a decision based on the information is understanding. If the board member does any one of these three acts on knowledge, such person falls within the gambit of law and is liable for action or inaction. Before we move on to discuss issues on board process, I got one more message from one of our viewers. Now, this is a different scenario altogether. The management of their company has communicated the various issues to the board regarding coronavirus. And the board has come out with this unique one-liner. You know what it is? Do what it takes to get things right. I repeat, the board has just communicated saying, do what it takes to get things right. Is this a decision from the board member, or they are playing it safe to blame someone at a later date when the blame game starts? So knowledge exists where one is aware of a high probability of an event. Don't you think in this scenario, every board member is aware of this high probability of an event called COVID-19? The decision of indecision is what I refer to as knowing. In our previous videos, we had discussed two things. One is knowledge and other is knowing. Now, in this module, we are going to discuss what is knowing. So, in our first scenario, the board did not respond. Whereas, in the second scenario, the board has responded by saying, do what it takes to get things right. There is a big difference in these two decisions. In fact, the latter can get the directors into problems as they wish to monitor the crisis from outside. This scenario, according to me, is having knowledge but failing on the concept of knowing. Now, what is knowing? Knowing, simply put, means you know the matter and you have knowledge, but you do not want to take a decision on account of 1. Willful blindness, 2. Deliberate ignorance, and the third one is conscious disregard. Now, if you're wondering what these terms are or mean, willful blindness means deliberate failure to make a reasonable inquiry despite suspicion or an awareness of the high probability of its existence. Now, connect that with the current crisis which we are in. Don't you think that the board's reply to the management is a case of willful blindness where they don't want to see what the reality is? So, willful blindness involves conscious avoidance of the truth. The boards will be liable. The second one is a deliberate ignorance. Deliberate ignorance means intentionally ignoring a fact when one has every reason to believe about its existence. in the current scenario? Don't you think the directors actually know about the facts? And if the boards are using this mechanism of deliberate ignorance and they feel that they will not be liable, how wrong can they? I mean, they couldn't have been more wrong than what they are trying to do. Conscious disregard, the third concept, which is means the knowledge of the probable harmful consequence of willful and deliberate failure to act to avoid those consequences. So, willful blindness, the second one was deliberate ignorance, and the third one is conscious disregard. Now, this conscious disregard is also called reckless disregard as well, and the defendant is often described as acting with malice, which means the director will be liable. So, knowing always follows knowledge. And once the board has knowledge, they become the knowing. And they will always be liable. But why should a knowledge or knowing be through a board process as stipulated by the legislations? And why so much of emphasis is being given to this term board process? We will discuss this the next time. Meanwhile, keep sending your questions and I'll be more than happy to address them. Till then, goodbye and stay safe.